Run Your Story family, this is Allison Gilliard with Run Your Story, where every story needs to be heard. And I hope you guys are super excited about this next story. It is with such an incredible human being. He is one of a kind. And I knew the first time we met, I was like, I've got to know his story. There was just something about Mr. Lee Moons. And I'm so glad I got to sit down with him and hear his story. And just what a story. Mr. Lee is, you guys are going to laugh a lot because he's funny, but he's also just very sincere and brings such great advice as we should walk together. And he talks about the importance of finding your people, find your tribe, or they'll find you. I love that. It was incredible. Mr. Lee is also a veteran, and so thank you for your service. Thank you for defending our country, and thank you for all that you've done. I mean, that's just incredible. What a story. What a legacy. Just beautiful. As always, a huge shout out and thank you to Gilliard Tech Services for sponsoring this podcast and for all that he does for Greg Gilliard for editing and keeping up to date on the website and all things tech when it comes to Run Your Story. But you guys can reach out to him on Gilliard Tech Services, and there, which is Gilliard TS, is the website. You will find that he develops websites. He also freshens up your current one, and he also tutors. So definitely reach out to him. He is amazing when it comes to computers. He knows his stuff. Cannot say enough great things. And also that he is so involved in the Run Your Story family. Would not be possible without him. He's my go-to. So really appreciate you, Gray, and all that you do. So guys, here's Mr. Lee Moons and his Run Your Story. Thanks, Lee, for being here.
Thank you, Allison. I'm like going, okay, I don't know why you want me, but here I am.
We actually met at Do Goods at the Run Good that has started. And then you've been like such a great supporter. And then we've had several conversations where I'm like, I've got to get you on. Like, I've got to know your story. So what is your story?
Oh, boy. Well, it's going to be kind of, I don't want to say boring. It's interesting. I don't know. Well, let's start off at the beginning. Let's go in, as Mr. Peabody would say to Sherman, let's get in the Wayback Machine. And we're going to go all the way back to 1988.
I like it. Okay.
All right. Graduated from high school May 1988. And I'm wanting to go off to Marion Military Institute. And But to be in their early commissioning program, to be a commissioned officer, you have to go through basic training. Latter part of May, I'm on a bus bound to Fort Knox, Kentucky. Nobody told me and when you're in the military, you run a lot. I mean, there's no walking. Because I asked the recruiter, I said, well, do I need to work out or do anything? Oh, no, they'll ease you into it. Lie. Big lie. Big lie. And, I mean, and I'm going to admit to this because it's gotten better since then. But my first Army physical fitness test, I think I managed to do 12 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, and I ran the 2-mile run in a blistering 28 minutes. Okay. Standard at 60% was like 52 push-ups, 62 sit-ups, and you had to run the 2-mile in 15:54.
Got it.
Yeah, so I'm not going very fast. The Army at the time, I don't think they still do, but they had what they call Fat Boy School.
Oh, okay.
So basically you would be taken out of your rotation and you would go off to a area where they would PT you morning, noon, night, work you out, cut your food back. I mean, dietitian, you didn't really do any, your training was you're exercising. You wake up, you go do physical fitness, then they take you to breakfast, then you go, you'd have a reduced breakfast and all that other fun stuff. And so after my PT test, drill sergeants told us, y'all got to do U8, and I was one of the 8, are going off to fat school. And I went, okay, great, whatever, I don't care. And in the military, it's large but small at the same time. My brother-in-law and my sister, whom I love to death, happened to be stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky, which is where I was.
Okay.
And they were in the same battalion that my company was in. And my brother-in-law was a company commander, and they're having a hello and farewell. And from what I understand, my sister, unbeknownst to me, asked one of my drill sergeants, "How's Moons doing?" And let's just say Lee did not have to go to fat school. It was like whenever somebody got in trouble, you do 10, Moons join them. We're going to go on a run. Moons, chase the guidon bearer. And if the guidon bearer, and so they literally ran me all over the place.
Wow.
And so it was just one of those, I mean, at the time I was like, dear God, where are they? Come on, man, I have no. But but when it came time for the middle of the camp, the middle of the training, they gave us another PT test, and I mean, everything had vastly improved. I wonder why. So we had that going on, but yeah, I mean, in the military, and I hated running. Oh God, I hated running so much because it was one of those things. You have to go do this. I really didn't want to do that. Like I knew the push-ups and stuff, so I would play my strong points, and then it was like, okay, we're going to see what we do today and on the run. So that happened. Went off to actually the next PT test that I had. So it was like 4 weeks later. I did 82 push-ups, 92 sit-ups, and I ran the 2 miles in like under 12 minutes.
Whoa!
Oh yeah! Oh
wow!
Well, when I say you have 8 to 12 hours a day where somebody gets in trouble, you get to do push-ups, or you get sent to the gig pit. And one time the drill sergeant, our main drill sergeant was out. They had a relief sergeant, drill sergeant in, and they sent somebody to the gig pit, and I go walking with them. And the drill sergeant, who didn't know that I was supposed to go whenever somebody got in trouble, guess who got to go? Why are you joining? I'm supposed to. And just left it at that.
Wow.
Unbeknownst to me, they really pushed me in that direction. We get to Mirror Military Institute. Hand to God, my senior drill sergeant at Fort Knox, Kentucky, has been assigned to Mirror Military Institute as the cadre.
Get out of here.
And we are in the same biology class. Actually, he sat right next to me.
Wow.
And I looked at him, and I'm like, oh, God. I'm sitting at our desk that we have to share together. And I, like, put my arm like this, and he sat down. He looked at me, and then he leaned forward, and he looked at me a little bit closer, and he went, how you doing? And I went, fine. How are you? He goes, I'm doing good. And then he didn't bring it up because my sister had inadvertently got me into all sorts of fun trouble. But again, what's family for if you can't have some fun with your siblings? So
there you go.
So that happened, but also Sergeant Gillis then was also the cadre advisor to the Ranger Challenge team. And he said, you're going to be on the Ranger Challenge team. And I went,
wow.
Do I have a choice in this matter? He goes, no. But I want to join the drill team, be the White Knight. And he goes, I don't care. You're on Ranger Challenge team now. And I'm like, okay, great. Fine. So we have all the little fun events. So basically, he stayed on top of me to make sure during those 2 years I was running.
Yeah.
Whether I wanted to or not, or actually a lot not wanting to. And it was funny because in Ranger Challenge, one of the events, and of course, you have your Army Physical Fitness test, and you have your go to the rifle range shooting. Well, one of the events is also a 6 mile or 10K ruck march in full combat gear with the boots, LCE, and a 45-pound rucksack. I was doing around 86, 88 minutes, and you have to run as a group.
Okay.
And so I was one of the slower individuals in our group. Well, you ran at one time in PT gear, and I do it in 84 minutes. And he looks at me and goes, you are my pack mule. I need you as a pack mule. And I'm like, what do you mean pack mule? Basically, it didn't matter if I had weight or if I was in tennis shoes and running clothes. It was just that I went at a certain speed. You weren't going to push me unless I needed to push, but it was like, this is my comfortable pace and this is as fast as I'm going. This is what you're getting. And so it was, okay, that's interesting. So go off into the military, go and do all the fun stuff, all the various schools that you get to go to, which you have to run in from building to building, because you can always tell who's in training because they're running.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was finally getting out of the military in 1997, I'm at the ECS processing all our stuff, and I'm doing the final paperwork. And one of the things that they have is they have a counselor that talks to you about healthy lifestyle, healthy
Okay.
choices, this, that, and the other. And she looked at me and says, "Oh, well, you've done this school, that school, so you've gone through all this, and you've been doing this for over 7 years. You're going to have it basically hardwired into you that you're going to want to exercise, you're going to want to run, you're going to want to do this." I looked at her and I said, "Lady, first thing I'm doing is I'm growing my hair out. Second thing I'm doing is I'm never running again.
Wow.
Forever.
Okay.
Forever." I said, "Unless something's chasing me, this kid does not run." And I held to that for about 21 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is where we get to the health part. So in 2017, January or whatnot, I had a heart episode. Fun fact, if you ever have to go to the ER and you don't want to sit in the waiting room, now this is pre-COVID, so things might have changed a little bit. When I went to go sign in, and the lady looked at me, she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, I'm having chest pain." She said, "Well, what's it feel like?" When you grab and put your hand, ball of fist up, and put it over your heart and go, "I feel like somebody's grabbing my heart," you do not pass go. She grabbed me. She says, "Come on back here. We have a," I mean, it was straight back. Oh, yeah, hypertension too. So then we have all the other fun stuff, the stress test. Oh, God. You have that. The doctor came in and said, "Well, we're going to have to put you on blood thinners. We're not going to say you had a heart attack or anything else. But yeah, your hypertension," and I think at that point in time I weighed 275.
Okay.
So big, not a big guy, but big enough to where being sedentary was no longer a choice, it was a lifestyle. So that happened, and I got a little depression going on with that, but I happened to see the Bomb 5K.
Okay.
So saw that and I went, "Oh, that looks interesting." And my wife was like, "We ran all the time in the military. Why don't you go back to running?" And then I found out something about myself. Bling. Bling is a nice little motivator, and I saw the Battleship 12K Bling, and it was in April, and they said, "Hey, we're going out to start this," and I went, "Great, I'm registering for this." Paid my money, got the veterans discount, and $25 later, I'm registered for the Battleship 12K.
Wow.
And then compartmentalized it. Didn't really train till, we'll say, September. It's like, yeah, you know what? I got this 12K. I think might actually do something. So I actually started getting out and going. And this time, instead of being forced to run, it was, well, I'm going to go do this. Now, bear in mind, I'm very set in my ways, or if I get scrambled about something, I can throw up my hands and, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Gotcha.
You can't make me. Some, as a moons, I'm going to say this, and if this offends, I apologize. It's either bulldog determination or jackass stupidity. Our mind is made up that we're either doing something or not doing something.
Yeah.
Changing our opinion is not going to happen. So, started running, getting used to that, and went and did it. Now I'm back to the pack runner. I have no qualms with being, well, I have one qualm with being back to the pack runner on most events. On the longer distances is whenever you get to the finish line, sometimes they've already got everything taken down, or you hit the aid stations and there's nobody there. And it's, hey man, I paid my money to aid station stays open.
Yeah.
I understand the concept of a rolling aid station. I get that. I also carry my own stuff with me just in case. You never know.
Yeah.
So we did the Battleship 12K, and so that's 7.5 miles. In January it's now the Mobile Marathon, is the First Light Marathon. And I'm like, well, heck, it's just a little bit further. I'll go do a half marathon now. So we're sitting there, not we, me, myself, and I are sitting there, and we did a little bit more running than we had for the Battleship 12K. Okay. So we were doing like 3K, 5K every day or every other day, and then we might do 6-7 miles, but we weren't going far.
Sure.
So do the first light, and again, I don't care about time. And as long as I've crossed the finish line, Lee is a happy camper. As my training has progressed and I've gotten friends Because at first it was just like I would see people that I had seen at, say, the running stores, and I'd see them out there, and it was like, hey, how are you? Like a hey neighbor.
Sure.
Like, I know you, but I don't know you. Go do that, and then you do your little running stuff, and then go home. But as I've developed or progressed in running for myself, I have found friends. So right before the first light, the government agency I work for had me going out and looking for fixed assets. Life of an accountant. It is so exciting. Great stuff. But the guy's driving me around, and I'm looking at assets and finding stuff, and he says, hey, we're meeting up a group of people for lunch over at this Pelican Bay restaurant over there near Foul River. Around Foul River. We go there, and it's two other guys, and him and me, and we're sitting there. And I was talking to one of the guys, and he goes, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I just did the Battleship. He goes, really? I did the rock and roll half at New Orleans. And I went, oh, cool. Now, he's a big guy.
Yeah, okay.
And who later, this God, whomever, fate, puts people in your lives.
Absolutely.
And so he was there, and we sat there and we talked, and went, all right, cool. Well, let's get together and run sometime. All right, now, in the back of my brain, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to hey neighbor this. Go, sure, why not? Let's exchange, or I'll see. And I actually saw him. He and his son did the first light.
Okay.
And they passed me. I passed them. But, I wasn't sure if it was him or not them. And I didn't want to say anything because that's kind of weird. So that happened. Finished it. And at mile 12, I think I developed plantar fasciitis in both feet.
Oh, man.
It had started at like mile 6, and it's like, okay, well, you have to go. The car is by the finish line, and my wife is at home. I'm here by myself. I can't just go sit down and go, I stopped. You have to finish. So I was like, okay, we're going to finish this. The next day after that, I went to go get out of bed. And again, I didn't really know what PF was. I go to stand up, and my feet go completely out from under me.
Oh, wow.
And I panic and go, oh, geez. Because in 2 days, I've got to be on an aircraft going to Austin, Texas for some training. And I'm like, man, I can't walk. So off to see the orthopedist. And he comes to me and goes, well, Mr. Moons, I got 2 things for you. He said, I have good news and bad news. And I went, what's the good news? He says, you had plantar fasciitis in your left foot. And the bad news is you have plantar fasciitis in your right. And I looked at him and went, huh? And I thought, well, what do you mean I had it in my left foot? He said, you kept going, and the tendon or whatever it was, it says, you see that red spot underneath in the center? And I went, yeah. He goes, that's where you blew out the tendon or you popped it up.
Wow.
But I'm like sitting there going, oh, okay. Because again, back to whenever I was in the military, I had very calloused feet, and I just thought, okay, well, maybe it's a blister underneath or a blood blister. Paid no attention to it. I mean, it hurt a little bit, but whatever.
Yeah.
Pain does not hurt you. Pain is just a messenger within the body.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So got through that, went to that, and he says, okay, so now I'm having to rock the boot on the right foot. And I was like, great. But hey, make it out to Austin, no problem, come back. And then didn't do any other running. Maybe did some walking around the neighborhood because it's, God, if I hurt myself every time I go out, this is not worth it. Maybe I need to find something else to do. Maybe bicycle. So that happens. A couple of months go by, and I bump back into my friend that I'd met at the thing. He goes, hey, man, I thought you said you were going to give me a call. And I went, I thought it was open-ended. You would call me, I'd call you, something like that. He goes, well, this is what I'm looking at. And then come to find out, he says, I'm thinking about doing an ultra. Okay. So I'm like sitting there, this is like 2018, and that year it was just like, okay, whatever. And it was like, I'm not ready for that, but we'll meet over here and go running at this time of the day. Come join me. And he says, and give me your personal cell phone number.
You're not getting out of that.
Oh, no. And Bruce is a great friend. Perfect run brother. But he's also a veteran. I'm a veteran. And I found, because being a lone runner, you don't talk to anybody, but it's still running helped for depression and things of that nature. But finding out there's somebody else who's been through some stuff I've been through,
Yeah.
And we'd talk about it. It worked out pretty good. And so we would get in a run, but I mean, whenever it would be time to run, it would be like, hey, I'm going to be here at this time. I'm not the most punctual of individuals. Okay? Again, I had to do it in the military. If I want to be on time, I'll be on time. If I want to be 5 minutes late, I'm 5 minutes late. Thankfully, this is not a trait that is passed on to my other son, two of my sons. One, that is his policy. And it's go with God, son, you got this. So I would always text him, hey man, on the way. And of course, where we were meeting up was like 10, 15 minutes away. It'd be like a 20-minute drive, and he'd go, all right, fine, whatever. On the few occasions that I was actually on time, he would like look at me, go, hey man, 5 a.m. is 5 a.m., not 5:05, not an hour. Oh gosh. And he said, if you're pulling up at 5, you are late. But again, at the same time, and I looked and said, I don't work for you. We're here doing this together. And so we would run up and down Fireman's Hill.
Oh, gee.
Well, we would walk up at a fast clip and then trot down. And if I'm not mistaken, from the top down to the bottom we would go to is close to half a mile, I think, somewhere around in there. I know it didn't take long to hit 3 miles going back and forth on that thing. And gravity's your friend, and I obey the law, and gravity would just basically pull me on along and get you down to the bottom of the hill, and then I have to walk up. And okay, we got to keep walking at a certain pace. Again, I'm not paying attention to all this fun stuff because that's not me. So we get up there and do all that, and so he's getting me, helping train me, and we're working together, and we're talking about certain races. Well, one of my other coworkers, she said, "Hey, bang for your buck is the Run the Beach series." I'm like, okay. So, I mean, like, you pay, like, what? I think it was $125 and you get 3 races.
Okay.
So you get the Turtle Half, it's the Kaiser, or was the Kaiser, I don't know what it's called, Big Beach. So, Kaiser Half comes up, I'm out there, and my youngest son said, Dad, I want to go with you. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so he started running with me.
Okay.
On that one. And at the thing, I said, look, man, just you do your pace. I'll find you eventually. We'll find one another. And he took off like a shot because he's under the age of 18 and he's like a little, well, he went off and did his thing. So we're going on and we're doing all that. The Kaiser half was great. We finished it. We were probably one of the last ones. Again, into the pack. And again, being at the back of the pack, there are some really interesting stories. The people that you meet, kind of like your podcast, maybe you can take the podcast with you on the road and you're going in a race and you just hang back towards the middle to the half of the individuals because you hear some really hilarious stories. I mean, because like, well, what else are you going to do for the next 6 miles or however long it is? And so you can do your own reporting as you're going along and talk to them.
I have been asked if one of the races we were doing, conversations were being recorded. I was like, not yet, but hey, there we go. There's a thought.
It's a thought because you will hear some hilarious stuff or interesting stuff with Big Beach because that's a full, and that was in February. It was in January of 2020. Then it was the Sea Turtle Half and then Mississippi 50. So we're going back to Big Beach, and I did great for the first half, 13 miles. And then I get to mile 15, and the conversation I remember was with this woman who was from Birmingham, Alabama, 2-time breast cancer survivor.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And she is moving like a sewing machine. The back of my brain is going, I just need to keep pace with her. If I keep pace with her, everything is fine. And she says, well, what do you got for fuel? And I went, I've got paydays and water. And I looked at her and go, what do you have? And she goes, I have these root beer barrel hard candies.
Oh, get out of here.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we're sitting there, again, the conversation, but to hear her story and how she had to fight this horrible disease is just, wow. And to hear that, because I guarantee you, if I was super competitive and I was up towards the front, I don't have the time to hear that because I'm busy having to breathe and focus on actually pacing and all that other fun stuff. When you're back, hey, you're there. The party is on. And that happened. But then I started running out of gas. And then the balloon people caught up to us. And you remember how I said fate, God put somebody?
Absolutely.
Well, there were two balloon people, and nobody really likes the balloon people. I think depending on the balloon person, it can be they could be fun and funny. They have a job to do.
Yeah.
They're the sweepers. She got the guy, I got the female balloon sweeper who, her name is Shelby Singleton. She's done 2 or 3 Ironmans.
Wow.
She's training right now for the Boston Marathon. Short little, very nice, very petite, but almost like a mama bear. And she said, as we're hitting, and I mean, I'm slowing down. I'm like gasping. No, I'm out of gas. And it's okay. The car's at the end. I'm gonna make it, but I'm just probably gonna be a DNF. I don't care. I'm not at this point in my time. I just want to finish it.
Okay.
Don't care about the blame.
Oh.
Don't care about anything else. It's like, even if I'm by myself and the sun goes down, I'm finishing it. And she had asked, said, do you want to quit? And I went, no, I'm finishing this. She said, well, we're almost at the 6-hour mark, because that's where we're at, like mile 20, 21. I don't care. My car is over that way, and I have to get to where my car is anyway. And she said, good, well, we're going to finish this together. And did not make me stop, didn't do anything. And unbeknownst to me, there were a couple of times, because that big beach, it started out overcast and it was wet. It was at 55 degrees. Then the rain came and then the temperature dropped. It's like upper 30s, low 40s, and it's cold. I'm miserable. But again, I'm just moving forward. I'm doing about a 15 and a half, 16-minute mile pace. Not great, not wonderful, but I'm moving. And she said, if you can go a little bit faster, look, I'm getting ready to catch hypothermia. I need to run up ahead, and I'm going to come back down. And she would tell me where I needed to go. And let your head, don't think bad thoughts. Don't sit down. Keep moving. You're not going to catch hypothermia. I'm going to help you get to the end. Perfect. Well, unbeknownst to me, she had ran forward and got out of eyesight. And I don't know if she caught up to somebody else or relayed to whomever was at the finish line and said, look, I got a straggler. We're going to be a while. And they said, don't worry, we're going to be here till he gets here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and got the medal, and off we went. So that was interesting. And then sea turtle half, out and back. And that one was okay. The going out was great. I never really had to run in the wind that much. 2.5 miles in the wind on the way back. It's like,
yeah.
And again, middle of the pack to the end of the pack, but I still finished and I was happy. Grabbed my medal, get my nice little fleece jacket.
Okay.
Yeah, decent swag. And off we went. Went home, all that other fun stuff. And so we're like 3 weeks out from Mississippi 50. Bruce comes down. We meet up in Laurel, and it's a beautiful, I don't know if you've trail ran before.
Just with Steve and the group,
Steve's addictive, and he'll get you out there. So we went out, we did that, and running along, and started off in the group, and I started drifting back. It's like, look, we got 12 hours. Worst case scenario, I'll drop down to 50K. But I'm going to finish one way or the other. But I was amazed at the aid stations and all the other trail runners. Now, this is my first trail run. I mean, first time off-road since 1997, 96.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm wearing a pair of Merrell's hiking boots or hiking shoes. Because I wasn't sure they were light, but they had them deep. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to expect.
Sure.
Never really ran trail. That's going to be hilarious later, because whenever I finally finished, the race director said, hey, great job. You are now an ultra marathon. I said, yeah. And this was my first trail run. And he looked at me and he shook his head like, really? I said, and he said, did you not train on any trail? And I went, no. And he said, well, what'd you think? Trail runners are cool.
Yeah.
Aid station workers on a trail run are real cool. And those on the ultra, you'll get asked questions that are just not really thinking like the first aid station I got to or second aid station I got to on that run. Woman looked at me and said, how much water do you have on you? And I held up my testers. Those are kind of not empty, or they're not when was the last time you went to the restaurant? I went before the race. She goes, yeah. I want you to drink both of those, and then hands me 2 more bottles of water. You got to out in the back, come back, and if you haven't, I'm putting you in a medical hold.
Wow.
But nobody wants anything bad to happen
to
anybody
for sure.
else. And it was great because all the other trail runners would come running by, and Walker Higgins, who is from Louisiana, he does the Caneville Classic, Children of the Cane, and Beast of the Day. Well, he was there running the run, and I happened to recognize it because I had done in that November the Children of the Caneville Classic, which is the world's most deadliest finisher medal, the machete. Yeah. My youngest, when we happened to be flipping through Facebook, and we had gone to a blacksmithing class where he had taken blacksmithing, so he had a couple of knives that he had made. I think he was around 14 or so, and no, he was 12 or 13 at the time, and he was doing all the fun of the blacksmith class. And I happened to show this to him and said, "There's this run in Louisiana. What do you think?" And he saw the machete. He says, "We're doing that."
Wow.
And we did it. So I met Walker there because he's the race director. And I happened to see him, and I knew whenever we had done pack and pick up for the Caneville Classic, he had on this Badwater 135 t-shirt. And you've read stuff about Badwater. And I'm like, "How many times have you?" And he goes, "5." 5? And I said, "Well, do you have to still do it?" He goes, "No, the requirements have changed." And starts sort of listing the stuff off to me, what all I have to do and what courses in our area qualify, because you have to do a couple of hundreds under 20 hours. Used to be 24 hours. I think it's dropped down to 20 hours. So that happens in November 2019. So now we're in March of 2020, and he's at the race, and I didn't know it. And he comes zipping by me, and he slows down, looks over, "How you doing?" And I went, "I'm fine." "Why?" And he goes, and he slowed, and I mean, he took 10 minutes out of his thing to talk to me, and I went, and I don't know, I don't think he did this, I don't know, who knows, but it was just cool that whenever I got out running solo, you'd see other runners, you just wave, or you might get a nod, you might get something, you might not.
Sure.
But it would just amaze me. Every runner that passed me or I passed said, "How are you doing? What are you needing? Are you hurting? Do you need Motrin? Do you need this? Do you need, I've got X, Y, and Z on me." Oh. And it was just cool. And I really love that. But again, right now I'm in a tribe of 2. Me and my run brother. And so that ended, and a couple of weeks later, I had bad bunions, so I had to have surgery done.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So I had surgery, get that corrected in one foot. It's going to come back later on. And off we go and do various stuff, but then always have to do the Battleship 12K. So no running that summer, but it's too hot. I mean, only the super crazy people go out and run in the middle of the day, or they're Marines. I mean, because even early morning in summer, it's 80 degrees with a 90% humidity. So yeah, it's just hot. So after being released, started running again, building up, getting ready for Battleship 12K. And then did that run, had a couple other small marathons here and there, did the Montgomery half. And then Bruce is planning on doing a tunnel from the roads. It's up north. It's 100 miles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he says, "Hey, I found this 100 miler in Pensacola called the Wildcat 100.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do the full 100 miles, but you could do 100K." And says, "And I need a longer distance." I'm like, "Great, let's do it."
Okay.
So we're training for that. And then I went to go register, and I see it's $75 for the 100K. And I'm thinking, okay, 62 miles. Or $85 for the 100 miler. It's just $10. Surely we can, talk to management and go, "Hey, look, I know I said I needed 75 for 100K, but I'd really like an extra $10 because now I'm doing 100 miles." And I registered, and it's cool because it's over in Pensacola, and it's at the Escambia County Aquarium, the horse area.
Okay.
It starts with an E, but I'm going to miss it.
Equestrian.
Thank you. Equestrian area. I was going to call them something else. And it was unique area. It's just a 2.5 mile loop, but you got 40 hours. And we had rented a trailer, a little RV for my wife and my kids, and we were parked right next to him. It's hot in September. I mean, again, kind of like that first half marathon. Nope, I did not apparently look at a weather map, check out the time of the year. It's Memorial Weekend, but while we're in our training, I remember that like the Montgomery half, one of the pacers that was there, he was wearing a kilt. And I was like, you know what? I'm Scottish. I'm going to wear me a daggum kilt. And I'm going to do this 100 in a kilt, and I'm just going to.
Wow.
This is my. This is what we're doing. And my clan, the big clan that I'm part of, is McDonald.
Okay.
But in order, and it's a poly this blend, or it could be an 18-ounce, 5-yard wool. And I was like, I want this to be a kilt that I can run in, and not necessarily something that's super heavy, but not exactly light, because don't want it blowing up.
Right.
Have some modesty there, people. So I decided, okay, so I'm going to get this kilt. It wasn't my clan tartan, but it is a nationally recognized tartan.
Okay.
And it's great. And so I show up to race day, and I'm in my kilt. And from now on, whenever I'm in a race of any sort, I'm wearing my kilt.
Wow.
And then after the first 2.5 miles, I'm going through the aid station. One of the aid station workers looks at me and goes, "So, what's under the kilt?" And it's 6:15 in the morning, and I'm like just trying to find my rhythm and all that other fun stuff. And it's like there are various responses that you can say, "What's under your kilt?" And one of them is not really nice. And it's like, I don't know if I want to choose that one or not. So it's, I got flesh, blood, bones. That's what's under my kilt. I went with the safer route. The other one that's not so safe is, well, ask your wife. It would be one of the responses. And he just like looked at me, and I was like, when I gave him the safe response, okay. And then grabbed my water, some ginger ale, something to eat, and took it back off. I come back around the second time, and there he is in a kilt.
Whoa! Wow!
And it was hilarious because I'm like, oh, you're a friendly serial kilter as well.
Wow!
And so I looked at him and I said, what's under your kilt? And he looked at me and I went, never mind, I do not want to know. So that's how I got into wearing a kilt on a ride.
Wow.
So that happened, great rate. I ended up dropping out because I kept on the heat of the day. I mean, from 6 till about 10, it was A-okay, and back in my brain. All I have to do is 2.5 hours, 2.5 miles an hour. I'll be up for 40 hours. I can do this. I can walk 2.5 miles an hour, which I can. However, my brain was not factoring in heat, sunburn, even though like I was carrying 2 water bottles with me. I would have those completely drained by the time I got to the spot where you go in. So like you get a mile in, and then you have another 1.5 miles to go before you're at the aid station.
Okay.
And that was right where my trailer was. So it's like, this is great. So as soon as I get to this point, I've drained all my water. I go or fluids. I go get more fluids, and I finish this up. But there was also, it had rained 2 days before, so there was standing water on it. And when your feet get wet and they can't dry out, and you're changing socks and you're doing this, time you start slipping away. But then one of the individuals, and then they state that they don't have a doctor, but he is a medic, 3-tour Vietnam veteran. He was on one of the SEAL Team 3, I think. Older guy, great individual. His nickname is Pops, or at least that's what he called himself, Pops. And it was like, see your hands, and he starts singing, and my fingers are swollen up, and he like tries to remove my wedding band, which is, you can see right now, I can take it off. It wasn't coming off.
Wow. For
love nor money. And he goes, look, I need you to sit down over there, drink some water. He says, I'm not telling you to quit, but you need to hydrate. And I think what had happened was I had over electrolyted myself. So I was having to push the electrolyte out, and again, they're asking all the fun questions that a total stranger doesn't never ask you. And it's like, and he's not trying to get out. I understand, not a problem. But we kept on going. I'd be on a medical hold or water hold, healthcare hold is what they were calling it. And then and it was kind of cool. It was great, by the way. I mean, ultra marathon,
Yeah.
it might be a little bit more expensive, but normally the food is great. Now, this is in the middle of after the first wave of COVID, so what they were doing is everything that you would have would be pre-bagged.
Gotcha.
So they would fix it in the little canteen area, bag it up, and then you could pick up what you wanted, as opposed to some areas that I've seen where you go knuckle deep and say, "No, that's fine." Not sounding drunk over here. So we go off, and then finally, sun goes down, sun comes up, and then I've fallen really far down Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I don't know if I'm going to finish this. I don't really care. Then my wife says, the boys and I are going to go see, there was some Marvel movie, the 10 Rings.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, I really want to see this movie. I could either go see this movie or I could stay out here and continue to sweat and hate life. I knew I had reached my end when one of the legs that I was going down, there was this guy that was walking next to me. And if I know you and I feel comfortable around you, you can get very close to me. I do not care. That does not bother me. But I'm hot. And we're doing this thing, and we're going around this curve, and it's a quarter mile, and it's at a bank, and he keeps on bumping into me because, and I know
Yeah.
it wasn't intentional or anything like that, but he keeps on bumping into me. And finally, I just put my arm out and grab him by the shoulder and push him to the side, and I look at him and go, I'm doing this for your protection. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm about 5. I said, if you hit me again or bump into me, I'm going to deck you. Because again, I'm hot, tired, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I do not care about getting that 100-mile belt buckle at that point.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, I went, you know what? I'm not in a great state of mind. I'm pulling myself.
Gotcha.
And probably one of the better decisions I made. Saw Pops and I told him, look, this is what I'm doing. He's like, it's probably a smart decision. He said, you can train up, you can do this, that, and the other. Because I told him, I said, I have this urge to hit somebody. I said, that is not me.
Yeah.
And he said, you're doing the right thing. Drop. Got 100K in. Still, not bad.
Yeah.
Bruce got to 75 or 80 miles, I think. And so it was still good, bad. No chafing.
Guilt.
Yeah, thank you, Guilt. Blisters, however, on the feet. Woo, buddy. And so that happened. That was in 2021. And then, so pulled back on the running for a little while. Did when they brought back the Battleship, because they skipped that one year in 2020 due to COVID. When they brought it back, or they went virtual. Not going to go there. If that's your thing, more power to you. Not me. But we did the Battleship 12K. Everything was great. That's 2021. We're having a couple of runs, and then I said, you know what? I want to get ready for Mississippi 50. My foot's healed up. I've got some miles in. I want to get the 50-mile belt buckle, and now we're at that point stage. And we're running. Runs are going great. And January 4th comes. That morning, went out, had a great run. I mean, 4 miles on a training run. And like Lee said, if you can do 3.1 or 3.2, you can finish it. And I hate to say this, and this is one of the few occasions where normally Bruce or whoever was in our group would set the distance or say, well, we're going this far. And I'm looking at my watch and I go, it's just a half mile more. Let's go finish it up. And Bruce and Steve went, huh, who's this? Yeah, the weird side of me popped up every now and then. But, so that happens. Went to work. Work was okay. Came home and had dinner. But dinner was quite off. It was a little off, and I started feeling bad, hurting. And I wasn't sure if it was something else. So I'm okay, well, I'm going to go to bed early, which is really weird for me. Because normally I'm a 10 or 11 o'clock individual. Get up early. But if I feel sick, well, maybe I'm coming down with something. So I'm going to go to bed early. Woke back up around 10 o'clock, and I started feeling this pain in my back. And I was like, geez, my son was on the wrestling team, and we did wrestle on Sunday. Maybe I pulled a muscle. Okay, fine, whatever. Go take some Tylenol, go back to bed. 30 minutes later, I'm back out. And I'm like, something's wrong. So I asked my wife, hey, could you look at my back to see if it looks like, if you see like I cracked a rib because there will be some bruising or something like that, or something, because something doesn't feel quite right. And she goes, no, everything looks great. And then 11 o'clock hits, and I mean, this pain is starting to get super intense. And I was like, babe, I hate to wake you back up, but something's wrong. And she goes, what? And I said, I feel like I have to go to the restroom, but I don't have to go to the restroom. I have this. And I said, but it feels like somebody's taking a poker and trying to stick it between my third and fourth rib.
Wow.
And just push and push. And she said, I'm calling the paramedic. Okay. Well, go to Providence, and God love the health worker staffs, especially those that are in the emergency rooms, because they have to deal with a lot of stuff. And seeing the nurses look like they have 1,000-mile stare, yeah, you've been through something. So I don't want to say I got the best care, might not have gotten the worst care, but you know, they were having to cope on it because they've seen it's constant. They were clearly battle fatigued.
Sure.
Then they finally figure out, they send me in for an MRI. Apparently, I had an adrenal embolism.
Wow.
And yeah, so now I'm in the ICU, and they're going, okay, you're going to have surgery, but we don't have a doctor on staff right now to do the surgery. We're looking at moving you either to Mobile Infirmary, over to Pensacola, or up to UAB if they have room, but it's going to take us a little bit. And they're working on very little pain med, or they couldn't give me anything because they didn't know how bad it was.
Sure.
So basically, they had me hooked up to an IV that took 6 units of blood before surgery because it was going in, coming out, and all that other fun stuff. So we have surgery. That finally they say, no, you're staying here, and have surgery. Did another MRI, and yeah, they plugged the leak.
Man.
And the doctor says, well, internal bleeding. And I said, is this a happen often? He goes, internal bleeding happens in everybody, but what happens is, think of your inner and outer skin as a pressurized suit. You'll have a small tear. Once it equalizes out, it self-seals. He says, your blowout was so big that it could not self-seal.
Wow.
And I'm like, huh, interesting. Spent 3 days in ICU, then they moved me into recovery. And that's when I found out from the nurse there how close I came. And that was scary.
Sure.
But again, so we're there. They say, okay, well, we're going to start physical therapy. And I looked at the doctor and I said, I have a 50-miler in March. Am I going to be able to do this? And he looked at me and he says, you can do 50 miles in a car.
Oh.
And he says, why would anybody want to run this far? He says, that makes sense. He says, marathoners, half marathoners. He said, why do any of y'all want to go that distance? And I said, clearly you haven't done it. And he goes, no. I was like, okay. So I took his remark as, well, maybe not, we'll see. But he was clearly, no, we're not. And then I really knew when I was started the first PT, they said, okay, we've got to get you up, get you walking around. They give me a little walker. And I'm like, great. Did I mention 4 days ago I ran 4 miles? I can go further than, why are you giving me this? Like, shut your ego down. They say, go on, get along, we'll do fine. And so I start going around the thing, and the guy looks at me, you need to slow down. You're going too fast. You're ready to get out of here. I'm like, yes, I am. Okay. So finally, we go through that, and then, yeah, zero energy. And I mean, no drive whatsoever. It was like, okay, I get up. I mean, walking from the bedroom to the den would be like, okay, well, I'm going to sit here for a little while and take a nap. Naps are great. Not being a nap individual, naps were good. But then finally I get released to go run, and it's after March, so Mississippi 50 is come and gone. And I'm out at the intramural fields, and I'm going to go run that little concrete track. And friends out there, and I go, and I managed to make it maybe halfway. And I mean, I couldn't run any further. I mean, it's wow. I really lost not only everything I had, but whatever I didn't have, and it's all gone. And now it's like we're back at zero.
Yeah.
And it would be like, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go run. and it turned into walking. So it's like, okay, fine, we're going to focus on walking, but it wouldn't be every day or every other day. I wasn't all that diligent. Of course, then, and after something like that, I did not feel myself.
Sure.
And I hate to say this, it took close to the better part of a year to get feeling back to normal. But Battleship 12K is coming up, and guess who's going to be in it? It's like, I'm doing this come hell or high water. And my son and my youngest is with me, and of course he takes off like a shot. And I start off with a little 16-ounce bottle of water, and every aid station, I mean, I had completely drained it, and it's jeez. So there we were for that, and it's, man, this is just gonna keep on happening. So trying to get out, and then Steve started Trillia and started going out. So, you know what, I need to get back out to the trails and then re-find some love somewhere, because running around South Alabama on that little concrete circle is not it.
That's right. That scenery gets old really fast.
It gets old real fast. And so started trail running, got to meet Steve. Steve's a wonderful guy, great guy, very much in your face individual, you know, which is people, you find your tribe where you're trying to find you.
That's right, absolutely. I love that.
And we're getting ready to do all that other fun stuff and we're running, and then now I happen to be at the VA because I needed some new orthotics. They take scans of my feet, and the doctor looks and says, "It looks like one of your screws are backing out in your foot." And I said, "Oh." Well, went back. Apparently, for the past year and a half, I've been running with a broken foot.
Get out of here!
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I mean, because when I was talking to the doctor who's going to be doing the surgery, he looked at me and said, "Well, didn't you know something fell out?" And I went, "Compared to what?" This is my first time having this done. And he said, I'd like it swelled. I'd elevate my foot, or I'd wear compression socks, or as my wife calls them, granny socks. And here I am, a 53-year-old guy with more pairs of compression, medical grade compression socks or hosiery than I possibly need. And I'm like, I just thought that was the new norm.
Sure.
Bunion wasn't hurting.
Yeah.
But, you know, this would happen if I head over a certain distance. And he's like, yeah, no, we're going to have to say. And so Mississippi 50 had been training for 2023, and that's out the door. And
wow.
Ragnar in May. I'm going to be a cheerleader instead. If you can't run, either crew, cheer, help the people out.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing. That brings us up to 2023. So that's it. My running story from the start to finish.
Wow. That is incredible. So for Battleship 12K, did you wear the kilt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a photo.
Dude, yes. That is incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. Wow.
Here we go.
Check that out. And your shirt matches. That's fantastic.
We gotta get, gotta go to make sure all your shirts and stuff match. But
wow.
Yeah, also a member of the Scottish Society of Mobile, and we did as a fundraiser because we also have a scholarship that we give out.
Oh, cool.
To help support the scholarship and to make some money for the society. One of the officers said, "We're going to do a Southern Men in Kilts." And I am Mr. April.
Hey!
Yep.
Little did we know that we were speaking to such a celebrity for Mr. April.
Mr. April, yeah.
I love
well, Steve said you need to change your Strava handle from Gazelle of the Snails to Mr. April.
Yes, I concur.
Yeah, so it'll be Mr. April 2023, but I've already been contacted for next year to be in it. So next year I'll be Mr. March. You will have to see the end result of that.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, and that was.
Look at that.
Yeah,
that's a picture.
Yeah, well, she said, you know, you like to run, you run in your kilt, wear what you wear when you run in your kilt. And I went, all right. And there we go.
Wow. So, what a story.
Well, thank you.
So what are some lessons that you've learned from running?
You can't quit. Or how to say this correctly. Like, I know you can't quit. If you start something, you have to finish. You have to be the first. You have to be the top 10.
That's right.
If there's an obstacle in the way, figure out a way to either get through it, get around it, and get it done.
Oh, I like that.
Again, bulldog determination or jackass stupidity, we don't know. So, yeah, would be.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. What has been your favorite race?
All of them, and all of them are, I don't want to say all of them. There are segments that are great, segments that are not great. I don't want to rate the whole.
Yeah.
Like Wildcat 100, I hated the 2.5 mile loop because after a while, yeah, it's all the same scenery. But the nice thing is you knew where you were.
Yeah.
But, I hated the fact that it rained. But at that race, I got to meet one of the people at the aid station. Every time you cross the finish line, I'm going to see if we can get this to do this without, I'll take a lot of photos. Have this every time you go across the finish line. That had to be that was motivated, and he did that to everybody.
Wow.
Not
I bet he
just
could
me.
not stop.
Oh,
He
the,
could not
the
speak the
next
next day.
morning, he was so sore. And I looked and I said, I have got to record this because nobody's going to believe me that you have done this.
Wow.
Because, like, you'd be on one side of the thing and you would hear him. Of course, like 3 o'clock in the morning, sound travels really well. And he'd just do it. And then it's, hey, man, I'm coming across. Where's mine? He's like, I'm sorry. It's like, fine. But the stories that you hear from the people when you're out on the road, on the run, and back in the pack, and the conversations, the bonding. One of the guys that I met in 2019 or 2020 with the Mobile Marathon, he had his hip replaced 8 months earlier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was moving and he was a big dude. I mean, a very proud member of the Clydesdale division. He was super Clydesdale because he had to be pushing 300 easily.
Yeah.
Because he was like 6. I mean, he was huge. And he said, yeah, well, I had my hip replaced, and I'm like, in less than 8 months, you're out here doing it. It's holy.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. Do you have a pre-race routine?
Coffee, restroom, more coffee, bottle of water, Tylenol. Might stretch. That was another thing I wonder whenever I go to the race. People, well, don't you stretch before the race? I'm like, no, I get out of my car and I walk to wherever it is. That's my stretch, is from the car to here. You'll see me doing the arms, shaking them out. I said, but yeah, I don't do a free 1 mile run. It's like, I'm weird, but I'm not that weird. No offense to Lee. I don't know him, but he said, oh, I do a little 1 mile warm up. And I went, Again, Lee, no offense. You're probably a great guy. God love you.
Post-race routine, what does that look like?
Normally get home, toss the wet clothes into the washing machine, clean the shoes off, hot bath, Epsom salt, then followed by a cold shower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So hit it that way. And
yeah.
Again, that's one of the things that the physical therapist Terrace told me about to do.
What is your favorite running item?
Other than my Nathan water bottle, I wish they would endorse me for giving me a plug like that. That'd be great.
Hashtag Nathan.
Yeah, hashtag Nathan, yeah. My aftershocks.
Okay, yeah.
And I love my Garmin. I hate to say this. This is one of those things that escalated quickly. Because, I mean, literally, my wife thought, I do the Battleship 12K, I get it out of my system, and I'm good to go. Okay. And we're in the car riding home together, and she said, so what do you think of that? And yeah. So do you think you'll ever do it again? Actually, I'm thinking about, and she was like, oh, gosh. So it's just, it is what it is.
Okay. I totally understand that. So this is gonna, because you're a trail runner as well, I'm gonna ask you, what is your favorite trail shoe? And then what is your favorite road shoe?
Okay. My favorite road shoe had been Brooks. Okay. Loved them. However, I had flat, wide feet. I love Brooks, but I happen to notice that Ultra has the Torrents, 0 drop. So I'm somewhere between a Brooks snob and an Ultra snob. Okay. For trail shoes, I love my Merrells, but then I saw the Olympus and Ultra. Yeah, I know.
Hashtag Ultra.
Ultra, yeah. Hey, and if you're willing to sponsor, me and Steve, a couple other individuals, will be more than happy to wear whatever if you give it to us for free. I'm 11 and a half to a 12. I think Steve's a 13 to a 14. That's the other thing, is that whenever you're trail running, you find other people that have almost the same taste, or at least one of my friends. What size shoe do you wear? Oh, I wear 11 and a half. Perfect. So if his gear bag is nearby and I need to swap out shoes, I'm taking his shoes,
Oh,
or he can
look
swap.
at that.
Yeah.
That's
Or,
awesome.
you know,
Yeah.
if I have their permission.
Or not.
Or not, yeah. Well, they got to catch me first. So.
There you go.
But yeah.
That is awesome. What do you like to fuel with? You mentioned a couple of things prior, but what does it look like now that you've had more time on the trails or on the road? Like, how do you fuel?
I hate to say this, I love my paydays.
Okay, yeah.
But at the same time, I also like the boiled potatoes with some seasoning on it. Not anything over extravagant. I prefer the goos do not sit well in my stomach.
Okay.
You do not want to be downwind to me if I've had a goo and not had enough water to drink with.
Gotcha.
I hate to say this. But one other one that I do like is SIS.
Okay.
Sports and Science.
Okay.
And it's not as thick. It's more for late night because, like, one of the ones that I've tried with SIS has like over 150 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Wow.
Oh, it will light you
yeah.
up. I mean, it was one of those where I took it and I was feeling low, and the next thing I'm.
Wow.
Could you be quiet? I need you just seriously shut up for 5 minutes.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one. So
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
I found out about a fellow Marion Institute graduate is a chiropractor out in Texas, and he said, like you've said before, there are no real secrets.
That's right.
Like, what do you do? I try this. Oh, well, I do this. And he says, try SIS.
Yeah.
And, found a sample pack on Amazon because, again, I'm Scotch, so I'm thrifty with money. And it was like 8 of them for less than $7. Like, hook me up.
Yeah.
And came with 4 different flavors, and it was perfect.
Huh.
So
I'm going to check that out. Yeah, that is so cool. What has been your favorite, or do you have a favorite running memory?
Other than the dude at the 100. I mean, because that was a happy memory. Running with my son. Or when I've had great runs with my friends. I mean, we're laughing, we're cutting up. Those are great times. Watching the sun come up and you're cracking jokes. After you just ran 4 or 5 miles and you should be hurting, but you're not because you're laughing or you're singing. Those are great memories.
Love that. Oh, that's so good. Is there a certain something after you ran that you're like, oh, I just cannot wait to eat this?
Okay, gotta remember I'm a fat body. Elliot, my youngest, has a habit of, or he started this off at Montgomery High. We split a Twix bar.
Okay.
And so after every race, there has to be a Twix bar.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh.
Then we go normally find something good or fat.
Yeah.
Waffle House is always good. I know if it's not, say if it's a local race, go home, like I would make like a BLT sandwich.
Gotcha. Okay.
Again, salt, protein, fat, and then normally with a great nap afterwards.
The night before, what does it look like that you eat before the race?
Protein, maybe some carb. I know people, you got to old school is like you have to carb up, get it. I would start carving up like 4 months in advance with the rolls and the other. Now, normally try to eat something that it will give me some protein, small amount of carb, the healthier meat. Because there was one time I had, I think, what was it, a 12-ounce steak and a potato, and then there was a lava chocolate cake afterwards, and yes, I ate the whole thing. And I went to bed happy and got up the next morning, and then we started running. It's like, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Then the other thing is it would be after the race. It's like, hey, babe, I'm kind of hurt here. Can you rub my leg or my calf? And she looked. Just remember, you paid good money to go do this to yourself. My wife is very supportive. Is she a runner? No. If you look at the back of my car on the windshield, you will see my little 50K little circle thing. And then on the passenger side, it's a 0.0. Some runners get it.
Yeah.
If you know me and my wife, you will get it. But one time, well, what's the 50K for? And I ran 50 kilometers. At once? And it's like, come on, man. That's a badge of honor. I can drive by those people with the 26.2. All right, no offense.
I was going to say, I've got 26.2 one time. No, that was it. So, you mentioned your aftershock. So, what are your running jams?
Anything and everything.
Okay.
I have industrial metal. I have old school metal. I have movie tunes, say 300.
Okay. Yeah.
Caribbean guitar instrumental, Wagner, Flight of the Valkyries. In your head, you probably saw the little scene of Apocalypse Now. In my head, and this happened at the Wildcat 100, I had Wagner going through, and the only thing I could say was "Kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit." So I have Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny in my head doing that, and somebody happened to pat the they're like, "We're doing kill the rabbit." What? And I pointed to my headphones. Like, are you listening to Wagner? Find the humor. I mean, it was an intense moment, or you're down with laughter will pull you out of the hard spot. So.
Do you have a favorite recovery tool item?
Let's see here. I have a scraping tool. After the foot surgery, the therapist ended up the sleep bags for the bomb, but I don't have the money for that. And if anybody would like to sponsor me and give me those, 2 thumbs up. No, they showed me how to use a scraping tool, the gun, a golf ball, and then gravity. I have a burger table.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So don't use that all that often. I did for a little while, but it was something that was in somebody's garage, and I went, "What do you use that for?" I go, "Oh, it helps stretch out your spine afterwards." Can I have it? I'll try anything once.
Yeah.
But the golf ball, and then also the rubber band and stretch. Golf ball mainly for the plantar fasciitis, if that does, but mainly the scraping tool. And then just my couch has that nice recliner part to it. Grab that and a heating pad and just leave me alone.
I'm telling you, the couch is a great recovery tool.
Oh yeah.
I learned that from Derek.
The couch is beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a wonderful tool, but it's also a magnet.
That's
so
right.
You have to know when to get off of it.
Oh, that's good.
If you're on the couch, and then in my house we have 5 cats and a dog, I'll have a cat or a dog next to me, on me, or near me. Yeah, they emit the sleepometers, and I'm not going anywhere.
What is your favorite cross-training activity?
Yeah, you're going to find this hard to believe. I don't go to the gym.
Okay.
I have a gym membership.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting story on that one. But yeah, no, I have a Club for Fitness membership. I did go every now and then, but then my son decided Club for Fitness was no longer for him because he wanted to focus more on serious bodybuilding. 16 years old. He's a serious gym rat, and there are just too many people in Club for Fitness. So now he's at Solid.
Okay.
So normally, whenever I come home from work, all I want to do is sit down and decompress and all that other fun stuff. But I don't do that. But my parents have 2.5, almost 3 acres of land, and always need something done. So I do a lot of yard work.
Okay. Yeah.
There's always a limb to be picked up or something. So there's a lot of walking, picking up, stretching, moving things around. I hate to say it's yard work.
Good. Hey, yeah, there you go. I'm already going to tell you, I love the answer that you're going to give to this. So, what is your worst race?
Again, it's in the segment. I don't think that there's any bad race. There's bad situations or bad moment. Again, where you are in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or it could be the weather was off, but other than that, it could be a great route. But it's raining, and now you're in 3 inches of water. What do you do? Yeah. Sometimes when it rains, I have more fun in the rain because then it went from being just a small rain to, yeah, man, thunder and lightning going off, and it was pouring down. I saw 2 of this and 2 of that, and they were heading over this dude by the name of Villa. Yeah. And it's like, but how you treat the situation. But I don't want to say that other than that one time where at the Wildcat where, again, I was so far down, like I was hot, tired, I was done. But yeah, no, there are no bad races. There's just bad segments or bad spots.
That's such a good answer. Such a good answer. So, Lee, let's say that somebody comes to you and they're like, I want to get into running or walking. What is a piece of advice you'd give to them?
Get your shoes fitted, or at least go to a professional and find a training plan or find a tribe. Find people, because people that will help keep you motivated. The individual that was your walker, I cannot remember his name. Keith. Yeah. After listening to that episode, I've never met him, But by God, I know I could be a really good friend with Keith. I mean, it was like I felt everything he said, and said, man, I want to be around this guy just because it was one of those. But as far as what advice, get fitted for a proper show.
So good.
That will help, especially all the other. And then find an area, find a good tribe, or put yourself out there, and the tribe will find you. Because at first, with me, I was just a lone runner, and did not want a tribe. This past year or 2 years, I found a tribe, or a tribe found me.
That's incredible.
And that's great. Yeah.
Oh, good. Lee, goals?
All right. Well, we're looking at a couple of different things. I do want to get 100 miles. I did, but I've got to see what happens with this, with the surgery that's going to be happening. I would love to do Children of the Cane because it's on Walker Higgins. That one is kind of cool because it's around a cane field, but when you get to mile 90 or 95, you can either stay on the path and finish up your 100, or you go 1 mile out of your way where there's this old cane field or cane processing area, and it's falling on the ground. You literally go through this tunnel, and they've got the little tiki torches, and at the end of the tiki torches, they have these two books, Iliad or the Odyssey.
Wow.
And you get to write something in there, and then you have to go the mile back and then finish up your run. But you're there at 90.
Yeah.
You're in sniffing distance of being there. So I just got to get to 90. I know in the hundreds, everything that I've read is that it's just going to be, after you get past 50, 60 to 75 or 80 is going to really be bad. Once you get past 85 to 90, once you hit 90, then I'm on the downhill slide. I can tolerate this for whatever, how much longer. But I was looking at that one, or actually, a friend of mine sent me a YouTube video of the Florida Forgotten Trail.
Okay.
It's in Christmas, Florida. Normally it's in February of each year. And it's 100 miles point to point through, can't remember, but it's in Christmas, Florida, and you're going, and it's all trail. It's old rail line that they have converted. Our majority of it is old trail line that they've converted into a running trail. There are a couple of water crossings and whatnot that you have to do, but it looked really good. Badwater 135, that's still a goal. Or Barkley.
Okay.
Have you?
No, it's out. Yeah.
I have no idea how to register for Barkley because it's one of those. It's like you've got to find the secret entrance to get into. You just can't go. You can't call up the dude who does the race directing.
Okay.
Barkley was founded or started when a guy that shot Dr. Martin Luther King, the prison that he was in Tennessee, he escaped from.
Okay.
And he managed to get 2, maybe 3 miles away from the prison. The terrain is horrible. I mean, horrible. There are mountains, a lot of plateaus, up and down. And for like 3 or 4 years, they would have started the race, and there was like a 5-year streak where nobody finished.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's a movie on it on Amazon called the Barkley, The Race That Eats Its Own. I mean, and it's just cool to watch. But if I could do this, that would be great.
Sure.
More realistically, one of the things that I'm wanting to do is I work for the county, and I work with the engineers and public roads. I'm their liaison from the finance department. But the county maintains approximately 1,400 miles of road.
Mm.
And I had listened to this podcast about this dude who was from California, and he said, how well do you know your area? And so what he did was he started running all the roads in Los Angeles proper.
Okay.
And it's, well, we got 1,400 miles of county maintained roads. I'm going to run all those. Now, it's 1,400 miles, but granted, I'm not stepping foot on Airport Boulevard.
Most right.
There are parts of Schillinger's, no. Carry that down to about maybe 1,200 miles. Give myself a year to do that, and that would be for me. There's no buckle.
Yeah,
no
that's
swag.
cool.
There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Steve did his 46 miler up at the 46 mile church run. And because at first I thought he had said he was doing 46K, and I went, I saw that, heard that. And that's like, well, great, my birthday's in September. I'm doing 54 miles. And then he says, I'm doing 46 miles. Dadgummit, now I can't steal his idea of pushing him down, copycatting. And it's like, and I talked to Steve. He goes, I'll still go with you.
That's right.
I'm like, cool. But now we got to wait to see what all happens. Right now, I'm shifting from running for the time being while I'm in recovery and physical therapy to cheerleading and helping, because I'm a firm believer. I either assist, I cheer, or I try to help, but I don't bring negativity. I know for me, when somebody said, when I told them, oh, well, I'm going to do the Mississippi 50, and they went, well, have you done a full marathon yet? And I went, no. And they're like, that's going to kill you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Please give me that.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those things. Oh, well, you say I can't. Watch this.
Right.
It ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah.
But I can get it done.
Yeah, it's also something to be said, because races, I think sometimes people forget that races can't be put on without volunteers and race directors and things like that. So to go out and to support other people, to me, it's just as fun as running it. Like, you get to have fun and cheer people on.
And it can be. Like, I volunteered for, they don't have this tribal golf
Yeah,
out at Dolphin Island, and I got to be one of the people that was there. And I mean, there were some really unique individuals that showed up. There was this one person, I'm going to say this, and my wife can kill me later. There's this woman, and I'm having to put a right on the one person doing arm, I'm right now with her age. And when she said 70, I stopped what I was doing, looked up at her, and I went, ma'am, you're hot. I mean, for 70, she looked really good.
Wow.
And I mean, at first my brain was like, you're 70 and you're getting ready to go do, even though it's a sprint.
Yeah.
Still, at 70.
Yeah.
And she finished in the top group. I mean, I was like,
you go, girl. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, but did I hear you right? I've got these things right. But yeah, get volunteering, cheering, giving support. Victor Birch, I had done a couple of runs over at Holler at the Dollar. And I knew of him, he knew of me. But when he was getting ready to go off to do his Ironman in Texas, because he posted on it on Facebook, so we were Facebook friends, not super.
Sure.
If we saw each other in public, it was, oh, wait a minute, I don't recognize you unless I see you in run gear.
Right.
Or you're used to seeing people in a certain lane.
Yeah.
But I reached out to him and I said, hey, I know another Ironman that's doing this race, actually, with Shelby. She was doing the same one. She had posted on her group that there's a thing that we do where we can track your bib and send words of encouragement. Are you on that same system? And he goes, yeah. So, I mean, I'm sitting there doing whatever I'm doing and then look over at my phone. Okay, well, he's doing. Way to go, Victor.
Wow.
But then afterwards, said, man, I just, a full Ironman. You got the 2-mile swim, then you got the 26-mile and then the 100-mile bike. Which way? I don't know which one it is. Yeah, you have the 100-mile bike. Then you have, it's like, yeah, after 100 miles of biking, and then I have to go run.
Right.
No. I mean, but I had reached out and said, man, you did this, and he's responded back, and he's, well, I was a little slow in here because I was nervous, and we were just sitting there talking back and forth. And I said, yeah, well, this is what I'm thinking. He goes, I believe you. You can do this. So you have him.
Yeah.
I've got Steve. I've got Bruce. I've got Catherine. You got a lot of positivity there, so you want to get this done. So, yeah.
I love that. Mantra. What's your mantra, my boy?
Okay. I have a couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ravioli and a nap. John Panette. He was a comedian, and whenever I was first getting back into this and going and exercising and going to the gym, one time I was sweating really bad, and this person looks at me and goes, oh, you're sweating. That's great. That means you're burning fat. And then the only thing I could think of was him going, yeah, because well, as soon as I finish this, I'm going to go stretch. I'm like busy sitting around the 11th going, I finish this, I'm going home, going to have raviolis and a nap, raviolis and a nap. But then when the one person said, oh, you're burning fat, and I went, well, God, let's hope it's a controlled burn, because if it's not, we don't want this to all go off at once. So it's within the family, and that's an internal one, because you got to have your goals. Like at Bill Marathon, seeing Cammie at the finish line with her ice cream. Yeah, I will give you whatever distance for her ice cream.
Exactly.
I'm about to end because one time I said, hey, I made a beeline because she had just opened up. And she looked at us, are you sure you don't want a beer? No, I don't want a beer. I want ice cream.
Absolutely.
You know, I want my fat another way. So we have that, laugh or cry if you're up in the game. The finish line is just the beginning because, again, we're in the car ride coming home from Battleship 12K on that very first one, and my wife thinks I've gotten it out of my system, or at least this will be an annual thing, so it's once a year. She has to worry about me going, babe, I need new running shoes, I need this, I need that. Yeah, for a hobby that's supposed to be inexpensive, holy cow! But it would be, it's okay, well, I want to do this run. Or what's worse is I'm around my friends and we're out running and we're training for one, but then we've already got 3 or 4 of our list of, well, as soon as we finish this, we can have this and this.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing is whenever I've had to go on the road for travel for work, one time it's in San Antonio, and where we were staying was right next to the Riverwalk. Getting around the Riverwalk, do that early in the morning.
Right, yep.
Don't do it in the evening because you'll run into people. But early in the morning, and then you're running along, and then you pop up, and there you are at the Alamo, and then you pop back down, you run back. I mean, so it's gotten me, work's gotten me a lot of places, but then getting out and seeing the area has been fun. Fear no distance.
Ooh.
That one's not mine. That's a friend of mine's.
I like that.
It's what Leaf was saying. If you're at 3.2, keep on going for whatever you feel like. There have been some times where I've been out on a run. Okay, I'm only doing 5. And then I'm feeling good. No, we're going on to 6, or we're going to 7. Or we're going to stop at this place, grab a cup of coffee, take care of business, and then, you know what? I want to go further. So don't limit yourself or don't fear the distance. Because, I could never do that. Like, coworker, I have all my medals and bling in my office at work because my wife does have, the house is the wife's house. I have a garage. Probably would let me have, but it's my area, and I get in at work. I have my own office, and I can hang up what I want to. And that's what I did. And when people walk by and they look at me, go, wow, one person having a go, you don't have any 5K or 10K stuff in here. I'm like, yeah, I don't do those. And I said, those are training runs. And he looked at me and said, man, I really wish I could do something like that. Oh, well, come on. Got some shoes. I'm more than happy to help you whenever you want to do this. On lunch, we'll go walk. And I don't think I could do that. I said, no, don't limit yourself. Your brain, the human body is a wonderful machine.
Absolutely.
The brain is a sucky governor because not only will it limit you and stop you like David Goggins, God, I can't believe I just mentioned the 80-20 rule, the brain, it will slow you down or it won't let you push through something that your body can handle easily. It's just, I'm tired, I'm hot, I'm this, but don't ever fear distance. It could be short, it could be long, But yeah, laugh or cry if you're up there in the game. Yeah, because there have been some times when you hit the wall and the wall is not fun. And it's nice to have somebody with you. Like, I'm going to have a friend of mine who's doing another 100 in November. I'm hoping I will be trained up well enough to help them, pace them on the latter half. Because as you can tell, I'm not exactly quiet. And when the sun goes down, it gets dark.
Sure.
Not only literally, but mentally. And being in a dark place is not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you have somebody, and it's okay, do you want me to be a drill sergeant? Do you want me to just be a comedian? To talk to you? What do you want?
Yeah.
And one time I was facing a friend of mine, and he's like, tell me jokes. I was like sitting there trying to think of jokes, and I'm like busy flipping on the phone as we're going along. All right, 2 men walk. So that's got to be the part of the cheerleading or helping or assisting. And so those are my quasi, man, we went all over the place on that answer.
That is great. I really like that. What has been your favorite length to run?
A half marathon.
Okay.
Yeah. Because for me, whenever I'm out, like, I love the training runs, camaraderie.
Sure.
Granted, 5K, whatever. But I really love the long runs where you're out and you see things or you hear things. Having tinnitus and hearing loss, if I'm with a group of people, even though I love my aftershocks, I either have music or I can have a conversation.
Yeah.
It can't be both. And I've got this little Bluetooth speaker that I'm wearing my Nathan belt. See, Nathan? That's 2. You could be getting all sorts of plugs off this. I'm just saying. Lee Moon's Mobile, Alabama sponsor me. And that was fun because I carried it with me when Steve was doing his thing because I was working downtown and he was through there. I mean, we're texting back and forth. Do you need this? I got this. Do you need I got that. Because, I'm like, going, okay, we're here and here. And I caught up to him, and we're going, and he like looks around and goes, "Where's that music coming from?" And I said, "It's my fanny pack." And he like looked at me, "You're wearing a fanny pack?" And I'm like, "Steve, we're not discussing what I'm wearing." But I've got it with me, so I said I could either carry on a conversation with you, or I can listen to music, or do other adjustments. But that is just all part and parcel of it.
Yeah, so cool. I like that. When you're not running,
Mm-hmm.
what does Lee like to do?
I am an Olympian class level couch potato.
Oh!
Yard work, because there's always something that has to be done around the house. But watch movies. My sons are very active in marching band. In fact, they've got a march tonight, so we'll probably go into the parade. Hanging out with my pets, my dog Wally. My favorite activity is he loves car rides. We do have a truck, but if you're my pet, you're family.
Yes, right.
You don't ride in the tailgate. You ride inside the car. The car has a sunroof, and he loves that when he gets in the car and he sticks his head right in the front, and he looks at me like, okay, because he knows as soon as we pull out of the driveway, I'm opening up the sunroof, and he sticks his head out.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yep, cooking, grilling, eating, being fat and happy.
Yeah. Lee, any final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom. Assist, cheer, and celebrate. Help your friends. Or find a tribe. I mean, that's about as far as I can think right off the top of my head on that one.
I like that. That's really good. I love it.
Yeah, that's that. So that's part of my story, or the story thus far.
That's right. More to come.
Yeah, more to come. So we'll say.
Thanks, my friend.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Assist, cheer, and celebrate. The amazing words from Mr. Lee. Like, I cannot love that enough. And I think that is what Runner Story is that we walk along in community together. We run along with each other, and we are there to cheer and to celebrate finish lines. And oh my gosh, I love that. I actually have a necklace that says finish line is only the beginning. And guys, just so good. This was such a wealth of knowledge in Mr. Lee's story. And so I am so grateful that he shared it, that he was vulnerable, that he went from having to run in PT for military to now wanting to and defying a doctor and saying, I'm not going to listen to you. So, Mr. Lee, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, it was such an amazing story, and I cannot wait to see what else you're able to accomplish. I mean, wow, just incredible. So, Mr. Lee, thank you. Thank you for all you've done as a veteran, and thank you for all that you do as a runner. Just incredible. And guys, as always, a huge thank you to Mars Hill Church for providing a safe place for us to be able to interview and record, and we are just so grateful for them and all that they do as a church for our community, especially our running community. We are just grateful. So thank you, Mars Hill. Also, guys, check us out on Patreon. You can support us. We have different tiers that you guys can get involved with, and it comes with different levels of swag, that sort of thing. So definitely get involved because this is community and we're trying to keep it local for advertisements. So let's pull together. Let's assist, cheer, and celebrate one another through Patreon. That would be awesome. So guys, just thank you again for supporting us. Make sure to like us on social media, to follow us on social media as well, and also on your podcast player. Just hit those 5 stars, write a review. Good stuff. And as always, again, huge shout out to Gilliard Tech Services for taking care of all of our website needs and tech needs and editing. So we really appreciate Greg Gilliard, which you can check him out at gilliardts.com. guys, thank you for sharing your stories and how each story impacts you. It's beautiful to watch and it's beautiful to connect, and I'm very excited to be a part of this. And so thank you for believing us. Thank you for cheering us on and celebrating with us. So guys, as I always like to say, Lee's story has become part of my story, and it becomes a part of your story. So lace up those shoes, get out there and hit that pavement and run your story, because every story needs to be